Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Today we are of course going to have a look at this new marriage between Nikola Motors and GM, which came as a big surprise also to me, and I have gotten a lot of questions about it, especially around the topic if I was completely wrong. As you know, I have been very critical about Nikola, or actually not so much Nikola as I have been critical of Trevor Milton, their former CEO, and now I don't actually really know what he is now, but he speaks a lot for them. So we're going to have a look at this today because there are some interesting aspects here and something that I think the financial media are completely forgetting in this story. Also, remember to put some comment in the comment sections below. I'm picking a winner, our first silver coin here tonight. I got a bit delayed. I would have done it earlier today, but we were launching our new screening software for our Danish subscribers here today, so it has been a bit busy. I'll pick a winner later tonight, and I will make a very short video about it later on. So you can comment still and be in the competition. All right, let's have a look at it. First of all, if you have missed it, the media is full of this GM Nikola story right now. And as I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of people have asked me what my opinion about this is, because I have been critical of Nikola, so many of the messages are going in the direction of me being completely wrong. Well, actually, I'm not completely wrong, or I have not made a video which is completely wrong, and let's have a look at it. First of all, what I have said all the time is, I hope Nikola succeed, but I have a hard time seeing how. What I really have a problem with is this guy, Trevor Milton, because he's coming up with some really strange announcements, and some of them simply have to be completely untrue, also called lies. But let's have a bit of a look at this. Let's have a look at some of the media coverage here. We have the Detroit News that has this Kalia Hall writing, and I'm not sure if it is Kalia Hall or if there's some of the sources, but this is quite a lot colored in the direction of them being big Nikola fans. But they are describing this a 10-year alliance here, and that is great. And what they're saying is that one of the challenges that Tesla had, because Elon Musk doesn't play well with others, they end up having a lot of work in-house, and Nikola is smart enough to recognize that others have the resources and the manufacturing expertise. Well, that is why they have joined up with GM. GM, this huge automaker, they are putting in services worth of $2 billion. So it is actually very smart from GM, because they're not putting up money. They're putting up services. And of course, some of these services have to be drawn from other projects, but a lot of the services could probably be taken from their in-house resources already not being completely utilized. So I completely understand why GM is entering this, because GM has this dusty, old, conservative grandpa image, and they are doing a lot in the hydrogen fuel cells and the battery tech, but they simply don't have an image where people that wants to buy an EV, the first thing that pops up in their head is definitely not GM. So I completely understand why they want to lean on Nikola's young, a bit hip image here. That makes all the sense in the world. And I can tell you already now that I think that GM actually has gotten an okay deal here, but there are some big questions that needs to be answered. But first of all, let's just have a quick look at this article. Nikola is smart enough to recognize that others have resources and the manufacturing expertise. Excuse me, what? Trevor Milton has been saying all along, or at least he did in the beginning, then he changed it in some of the interviews, that Nikola is vertically integrated and they are doing everything in-house from the beginning to the end. They're making money on the cars and the trucks. They're making it on the hydrogen. No one else is involved. They are making money on every single step. Well, it seems here that they are smart enough to recognize that others have the resources and the manufacturing expertise. So that is kind of different from what Trevor Milton has said earlier. Another thing here is that makes me wonder a bit how this story really has come up. Because Nikola will utilize GM's new Ultium battery system and hydrotech fuel cell technology for its vehicles. Alright. Well, that puzzles me a bit, because when we look at Nikola here, the Nikola Corporation to unveil game-changing battery cell technology at Nikola World 2020. And what they're saying here is, and this is from November 2019, they are saying that they are coming up with a new battery that is so revolutionizing it can achieve 2,000 cycles, whereas many of the other batteries are only having, 300, 400 cycles of charging. Cell technology expected to cost 50% less to produce, could drive down the cost of hydrogen and double the range of battery electric vehicle worldwide. And Nikola will share IP with all other OEMs around the world that contribute. Now, what I can read of this, and I have talked to a couple of guys with some knowledge of both batteries and hydrogen, and if Nikola can do this, and already have it, because of course they are unveiling this game-changing battery cell here at Nikola World 2020, first of all, this would pretty much make the hydrogen fuel cells obsolete, because a battery this good with these many cycles would simply just make hydrogen pretty much obsolete. Why not just put these batteries in the trucks? And if they have this fantastic technology, why on earth would they need why on earth would they need to utilize GM's battery system and hydrotech fuel cell technology? That doesn't make sense. This actually indicates that Trevor Milton was full of BS, and that they have never had this technology, but that they have been talking it up in the media to make Nikola a good brand, so that a company like GM at some day could come up and say, hey, we want to partner up with you. And of course GM have made their due diligence, so they have probably found out that Nikola didn't have this technology, but they have thought to themselves that taking over 11% of the stock for services of $2 billion that they don't really have to come up with, but just deliver on the road here, well, that was actually a good deal just to get their hands on the Nikola brand. Now, this of course is just me guessing, and I will put a link to this below, but there's no doubt that reading this really makes you think that Trevor Milton has pretty much dictated most of this text, because it is so Nikola positive that it simply smells of Nikola and Trevor Milton. Another thing here is that this Phoenix-based Nikola, founded in 2015, is a designer and manufacturer of battery electric and hydrogen electric vehicles. Well, no, they actually are not. Yeah, well, they are designing them, but right now they're not manufacturing anything. They have not put a single product out to the customers yet. And what it says somewhere here in the article is also that they started out with the intent of revolutionizing the world with hydrogen technology. And that is simply not true. They started out saying, Trevor Milton said they would revolutionize the world with CNG, compressed natural gas, and that they would build a network all over the United States with compressed natural gas tank stations. And then all of a sudden they found out, no, we are gonna revolutionize with hydrogen fuel cells, and we have the best hydrogen fuel cells in the world. Oh, and by the way, now we are teaming up with GM, so we are using their battery tech and their hydrogen fuel cells. That simply, it doesn't add up. friends. I'm sorry to say so, but I'll link to all of these articles. You can read about them for yourself. They are pretty much saying the same, every single one of them, that GM is taking an 11% stake, and they are putting a person in the here in the company as well, and receiving $2 billion in equity. Yeah, that is the same they all say, and they all say that they will be using the GM technology, which is funny since Nikola has such an outstanding technology base. But they will help produce the Badger, which will be available in 2022. Now that they have gotten GM in, it might actually come true, because this Badger production has been delayed quite a lot of times now. But yeah, let's hope that it all works out. Another thing that these articles really doesn't mention is this little thing about the infrastructure of the hydrogen. Because what Nikola is saying is, and it is different from interview to interview, but Trevor Milton is saying that they're going to build somewhere between 700 and 1,000 hydrogen stations. And as you might recall from my earlier video, they started out with the price tag on each of these stations at $50 million, meaning that yeah, they would be needing $50 billion to build these 1,000 stations. Now, all of a sudden, they reduced that to $15 million per station. And as I mentioned in a video, funny enough, that came just after Katie Wood from ARK Invest had criticized their business model and calculated with their own numbers that it simply didn't add up, that hydrogen would be too expensive. And then all of a sudden, they cut the price on the production of hydrogen down, and asked how they wanted to do it. How could they just cut 80% of the price? They said, well, that's easy. It's mass production of these hydrogen stations. And it might be true, but it seemed kind of convenient that it happened just a few days after she came out with the statement, and then voila, the price got shut down by 80%, and now it is only $15 billion they need here, and they're not getting money from GM, and right now they have somewhere around $600-800 million in their war chest. And they are just getting started on their manufacturing plant. And if you have followed some of the videos on YouTube, I'll see if I can find a couple of them and link them below here. There are a couple of very good YouTube channels covering this. The second they broke ground to build this new manufacturing, they actually just applied a few days before to the community where they're going to build it. They just applied a couple of days before if it was okay for them to build the plant, and there's no way they can get a permission before somewhere at the end of the year if they're lucky. So yeah, well, this entire infrastructure of building the hydrogen plants, imagine first of all the time it will take. But then they don't have money in their war chest. So they're going to go out and find, let's just say $15 billion, or they will make it in small steps and maybe just $3 billion at a time. But they have to find that. And how are they going to find that? Well, they will have to take in partners. And that could be that they diluted the shares, took in some extra capital, or it could be that they had some partners build this. But what Nikola has said all along, what Trevor Milton has said, is that the reason why Nikola is so revolutionizing is that they are also going to make all the money on the fuel. Whereas normal truck manufacturers are just making money on the truck and that's it. Now Nikola is going to make money on the truck and on the fuel. They're going to make all the money on the fuel. Well, if you're taking in a partner here, building these somewhere between 15 and 50 billion dollars worth of infrastructure, they are gonna take the profit from the fuel. So Nikola, either they're not gonna make it, or they are gonna borrow so much money or take so much money in diluting the shares that it will take up a lot of the profit from the production of the fuel. So there's simply so many things here that doesn't add up. Another thing here is that I came to think of is, and I talked about it in an earlier video, now GM is coming in and they are going to produce the Badger. That is good enough, and the Badger actually looks very cool. The thing is that Trevor Milton said directly in an interview, I mentioned it in an earlier video, that they were a truck manufacturing company. That was where the money was. Nobody made any money making something like the Badger. The only thing, he said, the only reason why they took in the Badger was because that there was no way they could get the young shareholders, the Robin Hood kids. They didn't want to put money into a truck manufacturing company. No, we need something more sexy. We need the Badger. But nobody makes money on something like the Badger, so we only produces this because, one, we think the Cybertruck was ugly. He said that in one interview, and then in another interview he said we took it in simply because we wanted the Robin Hood kids to buy the stocks. So what he actually said was, this is where we are planning on making the money. This is only to prop up the stock. That's actually what he said. So there's still so many questions unanswered here. But bottom line, I think it is great that GM and Nikola is joining up, because as I have said in all my videos, I really hope for all the Nikolas and all the Teslas and all these EV companies in the world, I hope we can get a revolution in the fuel we use so that we can go a bit greener. So I truly hope that Nikola will succeed. What I'm sitting here with a feeling with is that they have been doing a huge setup of fake it till you make it. I'm sitting here with a feeling that they have had pretty much nothing, but they have built such a grand facade that they have gotten to be a brand, an EV and a hydrogen brand, so that they could attract some partners that actually finally didn't care if they had the technology, but they just wanted the brand. That's the feeling I'm sitting with here, since that they are going to build the Badger with GM battery tech, with GM fuel cells. Why on earth aren't they using why aren't they using GM technology? Nikola technology, when the Nikola technology apparently, according to Trevor Milton, is so far ahead that they will simply run away from Tesla and everybody else. There are just so many things that doesn't add up, and the financial side of building the hydrogen network doesn't add up with the money Nikola is sitting on right now. So if you are a shareholder in Nikola, I completely understand why you are happy, because if we are looking at the stock price of Nikola, let's just find it here. You can see that the second the news came out yesterday, Nikola simply shot up by, at some point they were up. Let's just see here from the bottom to the top here. They were up 65%. That is great. They ended the day up just above 40%. And today they are down 10%. A lot of people taking profit. And what the stock price will show in the coming days and the coming weeks is how much the investors actually believe that this is a real thing. Can GM make it work? Can they lean on the young, on the hip Nikola brand and get some technology out that way? And can Nikola actually convince the world that they have had all this revolutionizing technology all the time that they're talking about, but oh well, we are just going with the GM tech because they are paying us a lot of money. Oh no, they're not paying us a lot of money. They're just coming up with services for $2 billion. Honestly, guys and girls, I don't believe Trevor Milton and Nikola. I don't know how to differentiate between the two. Trevor Milton is not the CEO anymore, but he's the only one speaking on behalf of the company. I simply cannot believe in what they're saying. They have come out with so many misleading statements and said one thing in one interview and another thing in another interview. So what I suspect is that the price will drop from here, and get down to a level where, well, it is hard to say where. When it was up here around the 60-70 mark, I got a lot of heat for saying that it should be down at least at 30. It came down here, jumped up again, and right now we have to see what the market thinks of this GM deal. I am not gonna buy Nikola, and that might be a mistake on a money scale, because it might go up. It might go up a lot. I have no idea. But there are so many other companies in this sector that I would rather put my money into, where I actually believe the people that stands behind the company. That's how I feel about it. I might be wrong. I'm not a financial analyst, and I'm not a financial advisor, so you should pretty much not take my advice for anything. So that's it for now. Take care of yourself and your money out there, and have a look later tonight where I pick the winner of the silver coin. That's all for now. Bye.